bring in Congressman Rich McCormick of Georgia to continue this conversation. Congressman, nice to have you along. The response to Hurricane Helene is being referred to as the Biden-Harris Hurricane Katrina response. Biden was asked what more the federal government can do to help, and here's what he said.
Giving them everything we have.
Are there any more resources the federal government could be giving them?
No.
Okay, so he said there's nothing else the feds can do, Congressman. The Democrats have been overspending massive amounts of money over the last 4 years, pandemic-level overspending, agreed to, sadly, by some in your party. So where's the money, and why isn't it being used to help our people now?
I think when you talk about the Democrats and what they tried to convey as a message, look at what he just said. Look at how he said it. This is the guy who's been the president of the United States for 4 years now. He doesn't even have any details as to his plan. He doesn't know what his staff is doing. I will say the Biden administration reached out to me, his legislative affairs team. They asked how they could help. I've reached out to my sheriff. We actually supplied two 13-man team, actually 15-man teams down to Rick Allen's district in the Augusta area. They're being looted, rampaged over. If they don't know what's going on down there, they have a significant problem. The law enforcement issue is the biggest part that they haven't helped with. There is massive looting. There's obviously flooding everywhere. Nobody has any electricity. There's outages of all sorts. When he can't give you specific details, it just shows you how misinformed or ill-informed he is because of his cognitive decline. Kamala has never wanted to be asked questions because she never has a complete thought when it comes to answering these sort of questions.
Well, I hope your political party goes out to all the biased press, because the biased press skewered George W. Bush over his response to Katrina, and they're all but silent on this lackluster response from the Biden-Harris regime. Congressman, speaking of money, here's Joe Biden being asked about the strikes in Yemen, as he answers about the impending strike of the dock workers that threaten to make worse the supply chain crisis that the Democrats still haven't fixed. Listen.
Any comment on the strikes in Yemen, Mr. President?
Both sides have got to settle the strike. Support the collective bargaining effort. I think they'll settle the strike.
You know, collective bargaining and the strikes on Yemen, of course, that makes perfect sense. But as stated, shelves could be empty, Congressman, as we try to rescue flood victims. Shelves could be empty ahead of a crucial election. Shelves could be empty ahead of the Christmas season, and he's staying out of it, he says.
Yeah, this is another show of, actually, he highlighted both of his policy failures, both in foreign policy and domestic policy, simultaneously, showing he doesn't know what he's talking about. How he's handled Yemen and the Houthis, people who have literally killed 3 Georgians in strikes with Iranian-produced munitions, a naval vessel, the United States naval vessel was recently attacked. We haven't done a thing about it. We've actually encouraged Iran. We've given them back money. We released sanctions. We've been totally weak. We paid for hostages. Our foreign policy is in shambles. And then you talk about what we're doing here in our ports and not helping this be resolved at a critical time, not just for elections, but for the future of this holiday season coming up, the jobs that it's going to mean, the supply issues it's going to cause for all of our industries. It's unbelievable he's not involved and that they're not putting pressure to resolve this before it becomes a catastrophe for our economy.
Speaking of catastrophes, let's turn our attention to the Biden-Harris border. The Biden regime is suing Alabama to stop them from removing ineligible foreign nationals off their voter rolls. And new ICE data showing there are more than 425,000 illegal alien criminals roaming free in the United States, Congressman. Can you think of a lawful reason why the Democrat regime would allow illegal alien criminals to roam free after they've committed serious crimes in our country, and why they would try to stop the removal of ineligible foreign nationals off the voting rolls?
This administration has probably lost more Supreme Court battles than anybody I've ever known. If you look at Becerra and the Health and Human Services, he's lost 4 Supreme Court justice arguments just to Texas alone. If you look at the Biden administration trying to give away money to students that they don't have the constitutional right to do, you see what they've done on the southern border. It's obvious what they're doing. When you flood the United States, whether they can vote or not, they get, even legally, they get representation from Congress. You have 15 million people come across the border, and they go to sanctuary cities that are in California, Illinois, and New York. Guess what happens? They get those congressional seats back that they lost because of immigration towards jobs. These are people who do nothing but consume. You're talking about 20 congressional districts worth of people coming into our nation illegally. And when they talk about doing something, they talk about undocumented migrants. What a pretty way to say, actually, they're very well documented because they sent twice as many border agents down to the border. But why? Not to stop people, but to actually document them coming to the country illegally. And then the 2 million that got away, the record number of terrorists we've caught, the record number of fentanyl that's coming across the border, 110,000 people dying of fentanyl overdose, 70% of these women be raped multiple times, hundreds of thousands of children being lost. They come across.
Yes.
We don't even know if they belong to the people they come across with anyways. At least 10% of them don't belong to those people when we used to test, and now we don't even test. Total hypocrisy from the left, talking about caring about people. They don't care about the immigrants. They don't care about this nation. They just want to be king of the ashes. They don't care how they do it.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Congressman, we got to stop giving them our money because they can't hurt us if they don't have our money. Congressman McCormick, thank you, sir. Appreciate the time.